is there an emotion that this is the acceptance process? Um, is there a context where it could be an emotion that's stopping you from doing something? It could be an emotion that you just don't like experiencing when you want to push away. Uh, an emotion that you have difficulty accepting. A challenge doesn't mean you're broken. All of us have these.
So an emotion that I have that I don't want to accept. That's what you're asking, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's the general characteristic of these. It can be the same description as for the other thing. It's an emotion that stops you from doing something that you want to do, like uh, stepping out and being more visible.
Yeah, like that's a good one. Like, um, there's always a thought of like, or thought or emotion of kind of unworthy, uninteresting. So then I don't put my true, authentic self out
Right.
there.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. That's a good one.
I think
So
that's common for people who try to be on social media and they're blocked because they won't put themselves out there, right?
right, right. Especially of people who are trying to run a business and
Hmm.
that um, yeah, I want to run a business and help all these people, but I don't want to be seen.
Right.
Right. Okay.
We don't want to be seen or judged.
Right. Okay. So what's the emotion that's I pick just one of them if there are more than one. What's the emotion or an emotion that's getting in your way?
So there's a mix of when you're talking, the mix of emotions are kind of the unworthies out there. Then there's kind of the fear of embarrassment. So fear would be the emotion. Um,
Okay.
Ashamed, like a bit of ashamed
Okay.
or lack of confidence of
What's the shame about?
um,
'Cause-
shame of the content isn't good enough or what I'm putting out there
uh,
isn't good enough. It's kind of being
okay.
ashamed or
Okay.
embarrassed of myself.
Right. Right. Okay. Well, that's a good one. Because shame, at least the way I use the word, shame means if people really knew this about me, the thing that we're ashamed of, if people really knew this about me, really understood, they would reject me immediately, totally abandon me.
Yep.
Uh, does this fit that kind of shame?
Yep.
Okay, okay, great. So uh, here's what I'd like. Can you step into that emotion?
Okay.
Okay. And now what I want you to do, Lisa, and you may find some challenges in doing this, but it will be powerful, is to find the place in your body where that emotion is the most intense and be present with it, with the sensation in a spirit of acceptance, because this emotion is your emotion. It's not somebody else's emotion. Nobody's forcing you to have this emotion. It's yours. Uh, so rather than being at war with yourself, saying, oh, I'm a bad person for feeling this emotion, uh, accept the emotion, accept it, be present with it. In the same way that if you had a friend who was dealing with a problem, didn't want advice, didn't want healing, but wanted you to be nearby while they were working things out. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So simply be present with these sensations in a spirit of acceptance. Stay with them, no analysis, no judgment, And every time you find yourself in your head, overanalyzing it or judging it or thinking about it, just say, oops, I'm in my head, back into my body, and go back and be present with the sensation. That's right. And stay with it. There's no, we all go back into our heads from time to time. So that's perfectly okay, as long as we remember to be kind to ourselves and say, oops, I'm in my head, back into being present with my sensations. That's right. Okay. And now, Lisa, tell me what's happening with those sensations now.
Well, at the beginning, the sensation was like a ball. Wasn't fire, but a ball of tension, kind of in my chest or upper abdomen.
Yeah.
And then as through this acceptance process, it was just kind of like lightning or like fizzling away,
Yeah.
and that ball was getting smaller.
Okay.
And there were certain images of that were kind of associated with that shame were coming into my head, and then I was like, okay, yeah, whatever, and kind of bye
Okay.
bye, bye bye,
So,
and
on a SUD scale, 0 to 10, how strong was that when you first brought it up?
I would say it was about an 8 or a 9, and now it's like a
8 or
3.
a 3? Okay. Okay. Well, I invite you to stay with it. Continue accepting. Um, get it down to a 0 or a 1. Let's just be there. Now, at some point, it may feel okay to send love to these sensations, because the sensations are there for a reason, and it's probably got to do with looking out for your best interests. And also, these are your sensations. Sensations and emotions, when they're left to their own devices, usually resolve themselves in a minute or two. So be with this sensation, and only if it feels appropriate, send it love. That's right.
It's
That's right.
very close to a 0.
It's what?
Very close to a 0.
Excellent. Excellent. And now, does this, think of this sensation as if it were an entity. Does it need to resolve completely, or is it okay to stay at almost 0?
I think it's okay. Staying at almost 0.
Okay, wonderful. Wonderful. So that was really fast, really straightforward.
Mhm.
Now,
Mhm.
go back to thinking about the situation where this comes up.
Mhm.
Imagine, like, what's the situation when you're creating content, when you've got content,
Publishing
when you're
publishing
publishing?
content and
Yeah. Okay.
putting my newer, different ideas out there.
Okay. Okay. So you've got content, you're about to publish it, you're about to push the publish button.
Mhm.
Does this come up? Imagine you've got something cool to say.
It used to always come up, and now I'm imagining myself literally publishing content, and it's not as strong. Like it's just,
Okay. And
um,
when it does come up again, and it may, it'll probably be less strong, but same thing. Sit with it in exactly the way that you've done now and accept it.
mhm.
Because what this does, it's as though people are in their minds at war with themselves.
Mhm.
Oh, I'm having these emotions, these sensations that are not allowed, or I don't allow them. And I don't permit myself to do this, which is kind of silly because
We are our worst best friend, right? Because
yes.
we would never do that to anybody else.
Oh yeah.
I I
Yeah.
I wouldn't anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. I know what you mean. And going through this process allows us to let that sensation resolve.
Mhm. Yeah, a big part of it is just, like, this whole process is making me very aware of the emotion attached to the sensation, and often when those sensations arise, it's a discomfort, excuse me. And this process, by putting this much time and attention to it, it's giving us that time and support to get comfortable with the discomfort.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah,
And the most people have this belief that they are at the mercy of their emotions when
right.
the reality is the opposite is true.